Most cloud roadmaps are broken. They give you a list of 100 technologies you need to memorize. You spend 6 months watching videos, tutorials, blog posts, and at the end, you still, for the life of you, cannot build a production environment. This sucks. So let's fix it. Today, what I'm doing is I'm giving you the antidote to this tutorial hell. I call it the builder's roadmap, okay? So you're going to spend 5 months, right about 20 weeks, to have ready in your portfolio 15 production grade projects. Sounds unachievable, right? That's the goal. It's got to push you. You're not just clicking buttons in the portal. You're building infrastructure as code, automating pipelines, and deploying microservices to Kubernetes. That is the goal. That is where you need to get to at the end of those 5 months. So by the end of this, you won't just know Azure. You'll have a portfolio on GitHub, wherever you decide to post it, that proves that you do. So let's get work. Now, the reality of the world we live in right now is that the lines are really blurred between cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, and platform engineer. The lines have converged. Cloud engineers need to know Terraform, Pulumi, or any infrastructure as code tooling that applies. DevOps engineers need to know about networking, pipelines, automation, relationships. SREs need to know observability. So what this roadmap is giving you, okay? Let me be plain here. What this roadmap is giving you is a 60-40 split. 60% cloud architecture, because that is essentially what most convergence of these roles are, and 40% DevOps practices. So it is designed essentially to help you land any of the roles I've mentioned, cloud, DevOps, or platform engineer, because the foundations of these three roles are identical. Automated infrastructure. Month one for you is about breaking things. You need to understand these big three: networking, storage, and compute. You cannot run away from it. And I'm not trying to scare you here. You cannot run away from it. I made this mistake earlier on in my DevOps career. I tried to skip networking and just went straight into compute and cloud. I paid for it. Okay? So in your first week, you're deploying VMs and static sites. In your second week, you're deep diving into networking, virtual networks, subnets, network security groups, otherwise short code NSGs. That is what you're doing in your second week. And I advise you, please do not skip networking. If you don't understand how a packet moves from a public IP address to a private subnet, I'm sorry to say this to you, you cannot secure a cloud environment. And your capstone project is that you're going to build the Cloud Resume Challenge. A simple static site hosted in blob storage, front-end by a CDN with C#, Python, function API that updates visitor counts in Cosmos DB. Simple, right? That's your challenge. It looks simple. I know you could vibe code this in a night, but it forces you to connect the front-end, back-end, and your database securely. Your second week is where things get a little bit more fun. Infrastructure as code. So this is where the real work really starts. So right here, you will stop clicking in the Azure portal because you need to automate everything, right? For this example, for this roadmap, we'll use Terraform. Why? Because it's cloud agnostic, and right of now, as the time of recording this video and publishing it, it is the industry standard. I cannot lie to you and say, yeah, because I love Microsoft, because I love Azure, go learn Bicep, go learn Azure IRM. Truth is, that is not the case in the industry. The industry right now, as of now, favors Terraform. Yes, there's Pulumi, there's other infrastructure as code toolings that people can use, but right now, Terraform is the standard. So let's use Terraform, right? What you're doing essentially is that you're building a module library for networking, compute, and storage. Just what you did in month one, but moving into infrastructure as code. And after that, you move to CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment with GitHub Actions, or you can swap with Azure DevOps or whatever other tooling you think of. But I recommend use GitHub Actions because also it is very popular. It is also one of the industry standards. I ain't gonna lie to you. So this is it. I want you to build a pipeline that detects drift. If someone manually changes a firewall in the portal, your pipeline should detect it and revert it. That is production grade DevOps. If something changes in your infrastructure, your pipeline, when it runs, should detect it and change it. If it is intended to change, it should change from your infrastructure code, not from the infrastructure setup itself. Your infrastructure code should be the standard of what your infrastructure looks like. Yes, and I'm going to sort of deviate here from practical experience. Yes, sometimes when you get, because I'm a DevOps engineer, I am on call and all those stuff. Sometimes you need to make what we call in my team a tactical fix. Okay, maybe to override a particular network rule to sort of unblock a customer, a developer. After that, if that is supposed to be the standard or the intended infrastructure status, you need to update your infrastructure code to mimic that. That is a strategic fix. So you need to know the difference between tactical fix and strategic fix. That's just a segue. Let's continue. And in weeks 9 to 12, we're wicked now. Second month is over. Let's get to month 3, which is the filter. All right. This is where most people quit because we're getting deeper into the waters. We've left the shore. We've gone past the shore now. We are in deep waters now. We're tackling Docker and AKS. Yes, you can swap this with any AWS service or Google Cloud or whatever cloud you're using. But I recommend AKS because that is what I know. That is what I can help you on if you ask me questions in the comments or in my community. So, Docker and Kubernetes. In your week 9, you're Dockerizing a multi-tier application. In week 10, you're thinking about AKS networking, ingress controllers, and mcharts. And your capstone project here is pretty simple. A microservices e-commerce platform that has authentication, product service, cart service, all these services running in separate containers, talking via a service mesh or ingress deployed with Elm. Sounds fun, right? For example, just for reference, you could Google or get on GitHub. I'll try to drop the links also in video comments or pinned comment or video description. The eShop on containers sample from Microsoft that you can use as sort of a reference to your code, and every time you can, to be honest, vibe code this also. I'm telling you this, I'm saying vibe code right here because I also do that. And I'm not going to tell you what I don't do. I'm not going to tell, oh, don't do this because I don't do it. What I do, I'll tell you, because when you're watching my videos, I want you to be able to have a trust in me in that if this is what Dara is doing and it's kind of good, well, I'm not that good. Maybe I am. And it still has a job, right? If this is what Dara is doing, I should be able to copy him or follow what it does. So whatever tools I'm telling you to use, whatever guidelines I'm telling you to do, is what I do from day to day also. So you can vibe code it or take the eShop on containers, sample, modify it to whatever you think, understand it end to end, and try to deploy it. If you can build this containerized microservices, document it, and explain how the ingress routes traffic to the correct pod, you're hireable. Simple. Now, so far, this is month 3, right? We've gone through the basics, the 3 big things: compute, network, and storage, which you've understood. We've gone through infrastructure as code. We've gone through Docker and Kubernetes. Month 3. Now, in the 4th month is where things get seniorish or mid-level-ish. It's about production engineering. You've learned the basics. You're hired already. At the end of month 3, you're actually hireable. This is where you can start crafting your CVs and applying to those roles. In month 4, you're actually doing production-ready engineering in weeks 13 to 16. A junior engineer will build something, write the infrastructure as code, write the pipelines. A senior engineer will keep it running, will know the bottlenecks and fix them. So month 4 is about security, observability, and costs. FinOps. Yes, it's a thing. As people in the cloud, cost is something. Practical tip here. No matter how fancy your infrastructure is, no matter how fancy you think your infrastructure landscape or architecture is, questions about costs will always come up because business is trying to be profitable. So you need to think about costs when you're deploying infrastructure. You need to think about security. Where do you store your secrets? And I beg you, please, okay, do not store secrets in databases or plain text. Please, I beg you, move it to a key vault or whatever service it's called in whatever cloud you choose. Move that to your vault service. Implement Azure policy. Okay. And observability is important. Why? Because when you get paged in the middle of the night, you want to know what went wrong and how it went wrong. In Azure, the tool to go to is application insights and log analytics. You can write KQL. And I'm going to tell you this. Yes, I love Microsoft technologies, but application insight and log analytics is costly. Yes, it is. You could look for open source tools to replace the selection I just made for you right now. I don't know anyone that I've used personally, so I cannot recommend one to you. So if you want to do your research, you can go do your research and use open source alternatives to do this. Do not do console.log, I beg you. Use standard cloud tools. They could be open source. So write KQL queries to find failed requests, when they happened, and go through the stack trace of it. And also, you should be able to audit your own infrastructure to find wasted resources. If you can cut your cost by 40%, well, business is gonna love you. They're gonna keep you forever because you're cutting costs. Not cutting costs in a bad way, but cutting costs to save the business and make them profitable, but still keeping the standard alive. So it's gonna be a challenging discussion because you're hired now. You're working with teams where you're cutting costs, maybe reducing some infrastructure quota and all of that. Fun facts, they're probably gonna hate you. They're probably gonna say cost what's to you, but hey, it is the job. Okay? And the reason I'm saying this to you is not because I want to scare you. It is what we face in the industry, all right? And this is an advice I got from my manager, okay? That when he knows I make these YouTube videos, right? And he says, Dara, I hope when you're telling your people on YouTube that cloud engineering is good, it's profitable and all of that, you're also telling them the truth. So this is the truth I'm telling you right now. It will be challenging because you need to have some difficult and challenging discussions across teams. Yes, you will have to. And you need to be able to state your points constructively. Not to offend anyone, because of course, in the grand scheme of things, you are still all the same team. Your end goal is to deliver value to your end users. So you are not working against each other, even if you have difficult conversations, because you will have them. You are not just cutting costs because you want to piss people off. You're cutting costs because you want to make the business also profitable. So you're working for two people here, the customers and the business. Well, the business sort of priority, you got to get paid, right? But you're balancing that also. So you could do a sort of a pushback between business and customers. Your customers here are also not just the people who are using your application and solutions. They are also your internal stakeholders, your developers, your BAs, your testers. They are also your customers. So your challenge is to take your monthly project and reduce the running cost by 40%. Challenging, right? I know you can do it. So if you put that as a bullet point on your resume, recruiter is going to love you. You're going to get that interview faster than most people. Now, month number 5 is where your jump on begins. You've written your CV a month, remember? Now you're optimizing it to be ready for hiring. So, this is where you polish your CV. It's bad for your CV to have, I watched a course on Terraform. The good one is, I built and deployed a microservice platform and AKS handling simulated traffics, reduced infrastructure costs by 40%. That is a sweet spot. Okay? Watching course. Everybody does that. I could watch like 1 million courses right now. Who cares? But what did I do with the course I watched? All right? That is the real question. And certifications. Yes, I'm a big advocate of certs. All right? I advise you, beyond just showing your portfolio, and I'm trying to give you a tip that make you super hireable and put you at the edge above others, right? Take Easy 104. After you've done all these projects, Azure Cloud Administrator Associate, that's what that exam is. After you've done this project, the exam becomes easy when you've actually built resources. Okay? I can tell you this for a fact. You will most likely fail this exam if you have not built something, if you have not followed this roadmap religiously. You will probably most likely fail. It's impossible if you've only read about it and not practiced it. So if you've gone through this roadmap and practiced, I can assure you with 80% confidence that you're going to pass that exam. because I can't vouch for people writing exams, right? But with 80% confidence, if you follow this roadmap religiously and you've gone through the proper project building and follow the steps I gave you, you will most likely pass that exam. And this gives you an extra edge. So you have your portfolio, which is really solid already, and you have your certifications that gives you the extra edge through the door. That is the goal. That is the life. So, as a recap of everything, you've gone through all that. This will take you about 20 to 30 hours a week. It will be hard. Trust me, especially if you have a job. It will be hard. If you have a 9 to 5, it's going to be hard. You will get stuck on indentation errors. You're going to struggle with networking. But if you commit to a project-first methodology, in about 5 months, you won't be looking for a tutorial. You'll be looking for a contract to sign. Now, I'm going to make this a downloadable PDF or Notion template or whatever. I don't know what I'm going to do this, but when I'm doing my post-production, I'm going to know the full process of making this work for you. And I'll put a link in the video description, including the specific tech stack for every week. So I'm going to have it to do for after I record this video to make that, and just check the video description and pin comments for the link to download that or access it. Now, my advice to you, final advice to you right now is don't save this video for later. I don't want you to do that. Open the terminal right now and start your week 1. What are you waiting for? Go do it now. Bye. In truth and honesty, go do it now. I'll see you in another video. And if you have questions, drop them in the comment section. And good luck. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, okay? I'm your big bro in cloud and DevOps, all right? You can ask me questions and I'll answer them. Good luck. Godspeed.